All right, so here we are, our second meeting. What are we calling this? The community meditation. Yeah. And I thought today what I would do is just do like a little mini talk just about spiritual practice, kind of some thoughts that Thomas and I have talked about, different kinds of practice. And then I'll do a guided meditation, kind of like we did last time. Maybe with a little more space for silence in between, not quite so dense in the guided parts. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about the nervous system afterwards. So that might be a big review for a lot of folks. I know you know a lot about the nervous system.
I always like hearing you talk about it.
A little psycho-ed. So Thomas and I, we taught a little bit together a few years ago, and one of the things that we would talk about is that there's sort of two impacts of practice or styles of practice. One being state acceptance practices, and the other being state change practices. So state acceptance is basically mindfulness, where you meet whatever's happening exactly as it is, without the intention to change it, right? That's just like, can we come into relationship with whatever's happening in our bodies or our minds or the world, right? That's the beauty of that. One of the beauties of it. And then state change practices are things like, last month Thomas led us in metta, loving kindness practice. So it's sort of introducing something that's designed to change how you feel or change your relationship with the world, say. And the reason I like to point that out is that I think often we go for state change practices because we don't like how we feel, right? And there's this judgment, like, I don't like this, I don't feel good, so, I'm going to do this practice because I know I feel better afterwards, right? And I'm not saying that's bad, but it can be kind of doing an end run about something that can be really important, right? You've probably heard of spiritual bypass, because kind of generally what that describes. And again, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing state change practices, but I think it could be really important to also spend some time with just like, what's true right now? Like, even if what's true right now is like, and I really don't like that. And it's like, yeah, and that's what's true, right? And that's incredibly valuable. And then if there's something that it seems wise to attend to and change, then use all of those tools, whether that's styles of practice or nervous system regulation techniques, or, all kinds of things that we know are available. So I want to start today with state acceptance, just simple mindfulness. And just find your seat, whatever your seat is. Get yourself comfortable in some way that you feel like you can probably stay reasonably still for the next maybe 15 minutes. 15 or 20. I'll kind of see how the flow feels. And bring your attention down into your body. Let's notice all the little macro and micro sensations that tell you this is the shape of my body. Could be the whole shape of you. Maybe it's certain parts of your sensation are clearer to you than others. Noticing different qualities of sensation, like pressure, temperature, maybe just a kind of energetic buzzing that says, ooh, I'm alive. And if at any point that starts to feel vague or like, "No, I'm not sure what I'm doing here," you can always bring your attention to sensations of breathing. Breathing is always there. And you can think of breathing as sort of home base. And if your attention goes somewhere else, whether that's other sensation or sounds, thoughts, if it starts to get a little confusing about what's happening, you can just come back to the breath. Rise and fall of the belly, or air passing through your nostrils. And just know that whatever you're experiencing is the experience of this moment right now. Just exactly as it is. And again, just a gentle reminder that if you find yourself off on a train of thought or some feeling, it's totally normal. It's what our minds and our hearts do. And you can choose to bring your awareness back into your breath. You might notice the quality of your relationship with whatever's happening right now. Is it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral? Do you like it? Do you not like it? Or you neither like it nor not like it? It can be simple. Simply sitting, simply breathing, simply hearing, simply thinking. Now we can shift from state acceptance to a state change practice. And just notice with some curiosity what that feels like. And if it feels natural to do so, you can put your hand on your heart. And just introducing some very intentional thinking. And say the words in your mind, may I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I know safety. May I be at ease. And notice if that feels good, or maybe it doesn't feel good. Maybe it just feels kind of meh. Well, just notice the quality as you think to yourself, may I be happy. May I be peaceful. May I know safety. May I be at ease. And let yourself be aware of the other people in the room. You can open your eyes gently or just feel the energy of the people near you. And send to them these words, may you be happy. May we be peaceful. May we know safety. May we know ease of well-being. And widening your awareness to the whole neighborhood where we are. Just a little bit of your imagination, but include everyone in maybe a 1-mile radius. May we all be happy. May we be peaceful. May we all know safety. And may we know ease of well-being. Maybe just imagine this as a big bubble of loving kindness, and see it spreading all the way through the country, around the world. To all the sentient beings. May all beings be happy. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be safe. May all beings know ease. May any goodness generated with this practice be dedicated to the benefit of all beings, in all the realms and all the times. And let yourself come back here into this individual body in this room, just gently coming back home. take a moment to notice what feels different, if anything. So this might be review for some of y'all, but polyvagal system, have you ever heard of polyvagal theory? And again, this kind of ties in with what I was saying before we sat about this sort of idea that I think we get this idea in the kind of common sort of zeitgeist now that there's this preferred state. We're supposed to be regulated all the time, right? And there's kind of seems to be a goal that gets that is understood in common parlance, right? And so the regulated state, quote unquote, is in polyvagal theory called the ventral vagal state, where we feel safe and we are aware of the people around us in a fairly open and connected way, and we can read expressions on people's faces. We kind of get the connection is alive, right? And so that's ventral vagal. And the next layer that's often described as a ladder, so if the top rung of the ladder is ventral vagal, and the next rung down is sympathetic activation. That's fight, flight. Fawn is sometimes, but I think fawn is not necessarily always a sympathetic activation, but fight or flight, but it's danger, right? It's if the nervous system gets the idea that something is wrong, you see the tiger coming for you, you need to be able to mobilize. You need to be able to run away and climb the tree, or you need to be able to turn around with whatever weapons you have to kill the tiger, right?
And freeze too?
Freeze, I'll talk about freeze in just a minute, yeah. So that's sympathetic activation. Freeze is kind of, my understanding is sort of, it's part sympathetic activation in that you're like very alert, right? Because that's also something that comes up with fight and flight is it's like the gaze narrows, you're very aware of where do I need to go? Where do I need to, stab this animal? Whatever it is, right? Freeze is part sympathetic activation and part dorsal vagal, which is the next ladder rung down. Dorsal vagal is a collapse state. So there's this kind of freeze is like a little bit of both, where you can't move, you're immobilized, but you're still very aware of what's happening, sometimes hyper aware, right? And then dorsal vagal is like the tiger gets you, right? You couldn't get away. You couldn't kill it. Tiger gets you. You're in the jaws. And so it's actually to your benefit to dissociate, to go away. So you don't feel the pain. It's like the dorsal vagal collapse state is you're not very aware of what's happening in your body. And so as those, rending teeth get into your flesh, you're basically left, right? I mean, and what I want to say is like the nervous system is designed for survival, right? It is all designed for survival, and it operates exactly the way it's supposed to, right? All of those things we need those states when it's appropriate to have those states, right? And it's not designed for happiness. Your nervous system is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you safe. And again, just like what I was saying earlier about how people can think, I'm going to go meditate because then I'll feel better, and I'm uncomfortable, and so I want to go meditate because then I'll feel better, I'll calm down, right? I think that we can get into the same kind of idea around the nervous system. It's like, I want to get to ventral vagal and I should be regulated all the time, right? I should feel safe all the time. And so if I don't feel safe, if I'm in sympathetic activation, something's wrong, right? And I think it's really important, and I think, a lot of my clients, when I say this, like, they feel this kind of sense of relief of like, no, if you're in sympathetic activation, it means you don't feel safe. And that's actually really important information. That's great information to know, right? So if part of a practice can be to just check in at any given time, like, where am I on the ladder, right? Oh, God, I'm kind of anxious, right? Or, God, I'm pretty spaced out. I'm a little maybe dissociated, right? I'm so tired, whatever. We have various moods, various flavors of nervous system states at any given time during the day. And so the goal of understanding and being able to work with our nervous systems is not to be in any one state all the time. It's to have flexibility. Because we need our nervous systems to be able to go into sympathetic activation if something's wrong, right? If the tiger's coming for you in whatever form the tiger is, the bus, right? You cross the street and the bus comes at you, you want to get that jolt of, all the chemicals that are released in sympathetic activation so you can run out of the way, right? And so part of the problem, I don't think I'm giving anyone any news here, part of the problem in our culture today is that we get stuck, right? We get, you have a job you don't like, say, and you're always slightly in sympathetic activation, your boss is not kind, or, for whatever reason. So it's really important to look at, can we be flexible if we're stuck in states, freeze, as we talked about. Like, freeze is a really common state. And looking at screens, as we do so much in our lives often, that actually creates a freeze state because you're activated, but you're stuck, right? That's like a strangely created freeze state that has nothing to do necessarily with the tiger's coming or even that I'm afraid of something in particular, right? I think often people will say, I'm depressed, and often what it is they're kind of stuck in a dorsal vagal collapse, right? And so I think it can be really helpful to kind of know, either for yourself or even people that you care about, right? To kind of be able to go like, okay, where are we here? Like, even in an interaction, maybe like, oh, we got a little hot. Like, what's going on here? Are we safe? Right? And that's instead of, oh, I'm activated, I need to try to change what's going on here, to like stop, just like I was saying in the beginning, using your mindfulness tools, like, what's happening right now? Oh yeah, I'm kind of hot. I'm kind of scared, right? Whatever that might be. I'm pissed off, like, grr, whatever it is, to just like go, oh, this is what's true. Maybe I'm kind of on that second rung, or feel kind of frozen, right? And then the next step I think can be really helpful is just to check out, am I safe? Rather than, I gotta get back to ventral vagal, like, or maybe I'm stuck in freeze, or as like a little judgment. The first step can just be, am I safe right now? Yeah, I know I just heard about what is going on politically, and so I don't feel safe. But that's out there, right? It's happening. Don't deny it, but right here, right now, am I safe? Right? Is my door locked, if that's a concern for me? Res momentum in my grandmother's hands. I know he got it from other people as well. Like, we'll talk about, like, let your animal look over your shoulder, like twist your body. Because it's an animal state, right? Your nervous system is part of your animal body. And the animal, just because you go, I know there's no one behind me, your animal body may go, I don't know if there's no one behind me, Let your animal body check it out. Okay, I know where the doors are. I could get out if I need to. If something came in, right, I think I could be okay, right? And so that then can bring in that idea of, like, I could go to ventral vagal because I know that I would be okay if danger came. I know what I could do. I know where the doors are, right? But right now, y'all are looking pretty friendly, right? No, I mean, really, like that, like, let your eyes check out wherever you are. And to just honor that this is your nervous system. It does what it does. And it's supposed to do what it does, right? And these kind of stuck states that we can get into, right? Like, it's called stress, right? I mean, how do we just, like, hear, ooh, we're stressed, like, we're all stressed out in our culture, right? We're so stressed out. And there's not actually anything wrong with stress, which I think is probably some fight, flight, freeze, like whatever. It's anything not ventral vagal gets called stress, right? So can you give yourself a break if you know, like, I feel fucking stressed out all the time, right? If you can give yourself these little windows of intentionally, like, checking it out and going, well, I'm not at work if the boss is the problem, say, or you're like, right now, I could put it down. I could put this feeling of threat down. And that then brings in the flexibility, which is really more the desired state, right? Of being able to go into sympathetic activation if necessary, right? Or dorsal vagal if the tiger's going to actually get you, right? One day the tiger's going to get all of us. But we don't have to worry about it until that happens. And when it happens, if our nervous systems are flexible, really as a practice, we'll be able to do what we need to do to take care of ourselves, And so, and I bring it up here because I think that often meditation is kind of it's considered a way to regulate the nervous system. It's like, oh, that's one of the benefits of meditation, is it calms us. It's, but I really feel like it's important to at least just bring in this, like, yeah, preferred state, yes, but don't try to jump there. Like, get there through a natural process that your nervous system can understand. Like, oh, okay, safety. Oh, this is about safety. Am I safe? I think I'm safe. Then can you re-regulate, right? And if you're really stuck, then get some help with that, because that's a thing too. We do actually get stuck in states from childhood trauma, battlefield, that's what PTSD is, right? So, yeah. So that's just what I wanted to put out there. It feels important to kind of have as a part of our, just a daily kind of contemplation. Where am I? And am I safe? And do I know when I'm safe? Like, really, really great things to consider. Breaking the momentum brings back in that flexibility,